Hi, guys. We're in the process of finishing our latest book called JFK and RFK's Battle Against Zionist Extremism. Yeah, that book's coming. It's a lot of work. There's going to be stuff in there that is going to boggle your mind. By the way, we're recording this on Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Of course, the Trump episode, um, you know, it's consumed a lot of my time. I better be honest, they got me totally confused with this one. Uh, I can't even begin to posit what's going on. However, I'm encouraged to see that at least one person thinks it's okay to ask questions.
At some point we may find out what happened on Saturday. A guy with a rifle wound up on a building, that close with a ladder, and all these people saw it, and the Secret Service are like, what is that? It's not crazy to think that there was something there. It was an effort to kill Trump, and it wasn't just a lone gunman.
All right, so apparently it's okay to ask obvious questions, at least according to Tucker Carlson. I appreciate him for that reason. All right, now let's look at something else that deserves attention that's getting next to none. All right, guys, here's the view. And if hope you can see my mouse, here's the stage. Okay. Here's the infamous roof that this guy spent an infinite amount of time on. And this is what you normally see, right? In fact, if I had a special effects guy here, I would play a little game. We would cut it off here, and this is what everybody shows you. Here's what very few people show you. This. Okay. This is roughly twice the distance of this. But since this is only about 150 yards, this is probably about 300 yards. Believe me, a professional from here would get very close to hitting and really should not miss. But that's another story. Technically, I'm talking about. So you always see this from here to the right, and you never see this. Do you think that might be an accident? Let me show you something else. Whenever anything happens in the news, you need to watch the very first reports. And if you're lucky, you have a way to record those reports, because a lot of things will be said in the early moments that will never be repeated. And not only will never be repeated, but will be disappeared. For example, this.
The fence where the other shooter was. There was one I heard in the water tower. There was one by the fence.
And still, obviously, initial reports. But what we do know, according to the...
Okay, guys, I don't know if you heard that. I hope my assistant cranked the audio up on that high. Here's an eyewitness person. She was there. She's in front of the cameras. It was minutes afterwards. And she said there were two shooters, and one of them was on the water tower, at which point the news person disengaged with her, and we never heard from her again. I did hear another person talk about something like that, and it went by so fast, and I can't find the clip anywhere. That clip took me 2 hours to find, by the way, but somebody did catch it. So what does it mean? I don't know. But if I were doing this, I would have had a distraction guy, a patsy, on the roof with everybody pointing at him, and then have the real guy up in the water tower. Just saying. Just saying. By the way, the patsy, they talk about, oh, no one liked him or anything. Well, he was so popular that his school picked him to be in a television commercial. All right, let's show you that. All right, so he's the lone gunman guy. He's like keeps to himself. He's not popular and he's not functional or whatever. Well, when BlackRock, if you haven't heard about this, your mind is going to be blown. You may not have seen it. I found it. It's been scrubbed from the internet. But when BlackRock came to do a TV commercial at his high school, he was one of like, 6 people picked to be part of it. So here we go. All right, what we're going to see is a commercial for BlackRock.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors.
Do you recognize this fellow? He is the alleged Trump shooter who is now allegedly dead.
Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do.
Here he is. That guy made this place a special place to come to school. And there we have the Trump shooter. I'll push play and we'll resume the commercial.
School and gave as much as he could to help the community.
All right, so let's just take a look. Now that you've had one pass through, let's just take a look at it again. 30-second spot for BlackRock, promoting their great financial services to the world.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors
And there's our shooter.
Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, that guy made this place a special place to come.
That guy made this place a special place to come to school. I'm sure this is all a coincidence.
To school and gave as much as he could to help the community.
What does it mean, right? Probably nothing, but what a hell of a coincidence. What a hell of a coincidence. Okay, so one last little clip, and I have not even watched it, though I have seen this guy speak before. You know, security is a profession, and I actually know people in that profession at a military special forces level, like the best of the best, and not Secret Service clowns, really serious people. And I could do, and I don't think I had the time. I could do a video to show you the absolute clown circus that took place right after Trump went down. From the time he went down to the time he went into the car. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. Got to get encouragement, you know, to do this because this stuff takes time. But that was literally a clown circus. Violated every single rule of bodyguarding. Should never have happened the way it happened, and hardly anybody's commenting on it, which makes me. So I don't like to do stuff that people have talked about, but I could just go frame by frame and show you what idiots his bodyguards were. The stage people were, which is crazy. Anyway, here's a fellow that also knows this world, and he's on a station that I don't think is American, which is good because the American stations, including Fox, are all completely controlled. And he's either a Brit or an Australian or something. And he's been around. He knows how this is supposed to be done. And he's not buying the bullshit that you're hearing on all the news stations in America. So let's see. I haven't seen this myself. I'll be really interested to see what he has to say. But I already know he's in the right zone. And here we go.
As I said, when we spoke on Sunday morning, and this was a matter of hours after the shooting had taken place, this assassination attempt on Donald Trump, we were amazed at this complete security breach that had taken place. And at the time, to quote you, you said that there was definitely something fishy going on as far as you were concerned, because it was either such a massive breach of security that it was incompetence on a level that you'd never seen before, or something more sinister. Perhaps there was some sort of inside job, something else going on. I wonder if 48 hours or so later, whether that is still your position.
Well, to be honest, more information's coming to light, Christo, as you and I are seeing, and I'm sure, many of the viewers and listeners are seeing, which is making it even more damning towards the Secret Service. There are things, for example, the most recent release is that the Secret Service and the local PD knew of the existence of the shooter a good 26 minutes before he even took his first shot. He was on top of the roof. He had his rifle in hand. He was in line of sight of the former president, Donald Trump, and nobody did anything about it. So it is quite astounding. And I've spoken to a lot of good friends of mine who are within my sector, a lot of former military guys, a lot of former police guys. I know some former Secret Service guys, and everybody is sort of absolutely racking their brains as to how this could have been allowed to happen. And that's the most astounding thing, because the US Secret Service have sort of, they set the benchmark almost in many regards, or like to hope that they set the benchmark in terms of the protection of a head of state. And there's almost a running joke, I've told this before, that, they almost overkill the level of security that they apply. And yet this happens. And this is the most astounding thing. And even the head of the US Secret Service, Cheadle, she is not turning around and posting her resignation. And we've seen very little from the Secret Service in terms of any kind of apology or any kind of reasoning or explanation for why or how they allowed this to happen.
So you're still suspicious? You're still thinking that there might be something a bit sinister going on, and that something, to quote you, fishy's going on?
Well, I mean, I think as you and I were saying 24 hours ago or 48 hours ago, that I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories, and I do my absolute best, Christo, to try and discount them wherever possible. There's been a lot of footage, I'm sure you've seen it as well, of various activities in the crowd, people doing various things where people are reading an awful lot into it. And I can probably explain away some of the things that have actually happened, and that there are actually good explanations for them. So, yeah, I try and distance myself from conspiracy theories, but you've got to have that fundamental question. How was this allowed to happen? The level of security that is done in the preamble, the advanced reconnaissance, the advanced planning, the risk assessments, everything else, to make sure that there isn't a scope or opportunity or a hole in the security around someone like Donald Trump to ensure that something like this can't happen. Yet you have a 20-year-old kid who's not trained. He's not a former military person. He gets on top of a roof. Lots of members of the general public are alerting the local PD. And you've got to say, well, hang on, there are counter sniper teams on other roofs that get that high vantage point. They would have seen him. Why didn't they take the shot?
So that is probably, my next question was going to be, what is the most suspicious thing for you out of all of this? And I agree. I know you don't go down rabbit holes. You and I have spoken for more years than I care to mention about various security issues, and I've never, the reason this is significant is I have never in the history of talking to you ever heard you either subscribe to a conspiracy theory or say that something is fishy or suspicious when it comes to an event like this. So I just want to make it clear to anyone that is either listening live or maybe will be watching this along later. This is not Will's usual shtick. He does not usually say this sort of stuff. But my next question was going to be, what is the most suspicious thing? But I think you've answered it by saying that there would have been people on the roofs around that, Secret Service, intelligence personnel, that would have seen what was going on who didn't act on it. And that is highly, highly dubious, right?
Yeah, it's astounding, Christo. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out in my head. These people who have fantastic optics, they have, great optics not only on their rifles, but they have spotters. They use drones, they use satellite, they use all sorts of capabilities. You're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar government department or security infrastructure that includes the United States Secret Service that can bring everything to bear. And why is it coming as any surprise that this even happened? I mean, even in the civilian world where I provide security to a lot of sort of former heads of state and high profile and prominent people who does not have all these resources at my avail, would go to great lengths, to even greater lengths to ensure that something like this couldn't happen. And you have a very controversial figure like Donald Trump, who is Marmite in many regards. People either love him or they hate him. And at the moment, in this lead up to the election, there is the massive divisive sort of sentiment in the United States against.
Okay, I get it. He's making a really good point, which is, you know, you got to give this guy special protection because of all the lunatics out there. But hey, listen, there's some good video that shows the clown circus of the Secret Service. So I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to walk you through that. So I'm going to first turn off his audio because we don't need that for now. And I'm going to see, here we go, clown circus. All right. Okay. Hang on. Whoa. See this, guys? This is insane. This is as bad, almost as bad, I guess. Maybe not as bad, but close to as bad as leaving a guy with a rifle on a roof. Do you see the clear shot? Okay. This is so crazy from a bodyguard point of view. Okay, there's a lot of people. By the way, if you look at the front of the stage, there was no one even guarding the front of the stage. Mind-boggling. But in any event, there's a whole bunch of people out here. And if there was a second guy, look at the opportunities that the Secret Service has given a potential second shooter due to unbelievable lapses of professionalism, like mind-boggling. Like I said this at 2 a.m. the night this happened. The Girl Scouts could have done a better job. They are literally framing him and holding him up to be shot again. And who do they put in the front? This pixie little type of person. You know, you need this. This is the right kind of guy. I don't hope you can see my mouse here. This is the right kind of guy you want. Big, thick, and wide. Doesn't need to be terribly smart. You need a lot of them because their real job is to take a bullet. This person? Good Lord. And again, straight shot. Okay, now this guy puts his arm up. God bless him. Now watch what happens. Whoop. Okay. He had the right instinct, which is to cover the fact that you've got nothing in front of him. But then he decides to move all the way to the left. Okay, maybe they're trying to get geared up to move him out of there. I mean, do a count here. I'll say 1001, right? We'll add 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Okay, now he protects his face with his own arm. Not a good strategy. They gave at least 6 seconds for anybody in that audience to finish him off. They know better unless they hired clowns that day. You don't let your client stick his head up. I don't care if it's Trump. And there are ways to keep his head down. He didn't do it. Let's watch some more. Okay, off they go. Let me unshare this stuff. You want to see that again? Let me show that again because nobody's talking about this. And believe me, there are bodyguards out there that know how insane this is. Boom. I'm going to count it. 1001, 1002, 1003. Okay. 1001, 1000. You take that guy's arm. Look at this. Okay. Now she just may be an idiot, but look what she did. She wrapped her arm around here. You see this fellow? He's trying to do his job, and his job is to get his client to put his freaking arm down. But he can't do it because this woman, probably just an idiot, is preventing it. And look at that. Look at that. Okay, I didn't see that before. She's the one. I don't think she's smart enough, unless I don't think she's a jujitsu expert and figured out that if she put their arm, but in any event, you get my point. And off they go. So there was a guy, let's go back. Okay, he puts his arm up. That's what he's supposed to do. She can't cover him because she's 5 feet tall. All right. Okay, I don't think it's deliberate, but functionally, in Brazilian jiu-jitsu fashion, she's blocking this agent from putting his arm down. And somebody really should be behind him pushing his head down. I don't care whether he likes it or not. If a camera could see this, so could somebody in the audience with a gun. So anyway, let me get the stop share out. So wide variety of stuff, kind of random. Yesterday we found a really interesting video. Took me about an hour to find it, and we backed it up, by the way. I can't believe they let that one out there. And it kind of ties things together in a sense, because we're working on this book called JFK and RFK's Battle Against Zionist Extremism. And the last chapter is called The Mystery of Sirhan Explained. And just by total coincidence, while I have been working on, I think, one of the most explosive pieces of writing ever in assassination literature, there's this assassination attempt on Trump. And it's good that we remember that every time there's one of these assassinations, as people look into it deeper, the original cover story starts to fall apart. I don't know how this cover story is going to fall apart. I mean, it's fallen apart in the sense that now it wasn't just somebody kind of saw him and it was too late. People saw him. He did everything but do a jig on the roof for 30 minutes. That's only coming out now. But I think, that water tower, I want to know why they cut that water tower out of 99.9% of all the news broadcasts on this setup, because that water tower had a clear shot and it was not far away for a professional. I'd like to know that. I'd like to know why and there were at least 2 people that said there was shots coming from, one said the water tower explicitly. We played that for you. Hope you heard the audio, but another lady, and I can't find the video, said a water structure. Now, the only water structure I know around there was the water tower. So 2 different ladies said this, and both were shut down the second that came out of her mouth. They were like the news people disengaged, walked away. But it was live, right? So one of the ways you figure out what's really going on is if you can find it, you try to find as much of the live footage as possible, and hear things that are never repeated. Now, why wouldn't you repeat that, right? Why wouldn't you say, well, gee, not only was there a roof, but there was a water tower, and 2 people said they heard shots from the water tower. And again, if you were trying to do this in a professional way, and they've done it many a time, you would put a patsy in a very obvious place, this time, and kill him, right? They failed to kill Oswald. They failed to kill Sirhan. But they got rid of this guy, so he's gone. All we know is he was a quiet, mild-mannered kid that couldn't shoot straight and was kind of frail and had no political interests, and, you know, had a job which he went to every day and seemed to be a good citizen. That's all we know about this guy. That's probably all we're ever going to find out about him. But he's dead, so there's no talking to him. But yeah, distraction, diversion, and then the real shot comes from somewhere else, and that person melts away into the background and is never heard of again. And no one even talks about the person. Did that happen here? I don't know. But I'm wondering why they're not showing the water tower in the news broadcast. I'm wondering why they're cutting out all the people that said there was a second shooter in the water tower. I'm wondering why they let this one guy be super prominent before they nailed him and now he's the guy that did it. It's all over. There's no need to investigate, right? Okay, I gotta get back to work on the book, but I hope you found this useful and interesting. And I got, I've been criticized for taking credit that at 2 a.m. we laid all these problems out, or not the water tower problem, but the fundamental structure of the problem of this event out. And we were first before anybody else. That's just a fact. And there may have been individual people out there saying and doing things, but in terms of what actually made it to the video and the internet, nobody else pointed out this ridiculous security lapse, this inexcusable security lapse. Now, of course, everybody's talking about it, but we were early on that. And I have a feeling we're going to be early on asking, what about that water tower? What about a second shooter? What about this guy as a patsy? Just raising the issue, not a conspiracy theory. I don't have anything else to go on. Believe me, when I put out a conspiracy theory, it's bulletproof, as you will see when our new book comes out. Should I give you a preview? We pretty much know the guy that organized the RFK assassination. And I'd put $10,000 in cash on the table and say, come up with a better answer. But we'll see. That book's coming out. That's what I'm working on. So if I look a little bleary-eyed, it's because that is taking a lot of time. But this is so important. I don't purport to know what happened. But it is the most bizarre security lapse in the history of bodyguarding. And again, I really think, I'm not even exaggerating. I think Girl Scouts, a Girl Scout troop, if they were given the job of protecting Trump at this event, would have done a much better job than the Secret Service and the state troopers and the local police and the entire clown circus that was on this job. By the way, has anybody talked about who the snipers were on the roof that fired back? They're going to have their privacy protected. Really? They're not going to be examined. I bet they're not. All right. Anyway, that's Brass Check.
Brass Check TV, free to you, not free to us. We've got a server bill, we've got an email software bill, we've got a tech helper bill, and that happens every month. So to everybody that is supporting us financially, that's paying for their subscription in one way or another, we really appreciate it. If you're not, consider doing so. Everybody's got money for the newspaper and the cable bill and all that. Do you have money for media that's actually serving you? That's really the issue here. And when you help us, it allows us to get this information out to the world. So thanks to all our supporters, and if you're not a supporter already, please consider becoming one.